out at the agency, canned on Friday. In Washington, a well-kept secret because we didn't know until Monday. That's pretty amazing. Peter Strzok fired, and one of the men who's been tracking all of this is Tom Fitton of Judicial Watch. Now, Tom's here with us in the studio, and I got to point out, Tom, that you're joining us just after the President of the United States quoted you extensively talking about Peter Strzok all over his Twitter account this morning, quotes from Tom Fitton. So rather than just read them out to you, let's have Tom himself explain his reaction to Peter Strzok's firing. You think, Tom, welcome. You think this has a lot to do with the Mueller investigation and bodes very poorly for that investigation.
Yeah, as I was saying, I think it's a real body blow to the Mueller investigation. Peter Strzok was the fundamental architect of the whole Russia collusion scandal or investigation as the senior lead investigator for the FBI. You can bet he would have been involved, for instance, in the creation of the FISA warrants, the spying on the Trump campaign, sending informants to spy on his campaign, working with Christopher Steele and Fusion GPS. And, of course, most infamously, he's writing these text messages around the same time saying how he's going to stop President Trump, how he has an insurance, or stop the election of then candidate Trump, and that he had an insurance policy in case he was elected. And then, of course, he then moved on to the Mueller operation for a few months until the IG discovered those text messages. So, you know, there'd be no Mueller operation, no special counsel investigation of the Russia collusion scandal, but for the actions of Peter Strzok and his top-level colleagues at the FBI. No Peter Strzok machinations, no special counsel operation. And when you've got this kind of fundamental basis of a special counsel operation so corrupted, you got to wonder why it's allowed to continue. Any other criminal investigation that had a cop, a dirty cop, doing the sort of things that Strzok was doing with political animus, you know, they come in and probably shut it down. But Mueller's allowed to continue, and it ought to stop.
But, Tom, someone above him had to know that this was going on. Someone above him he didn't just operate in a bubble, right? So who knew? Well,
yeah, everyone knew. When you look at the FISA applications that were really fraudulent, sent to the court to get these spy warrants on Carter Page, who at one point had been part of the Trump team and was an indirect way of spying on the Trump team. They were using this Clinton DNC dossier. They all knew or should have known. Andrew McCabe, the number 2 official at the FBI, fired. James Comey, who had been fired, the number 1 official. Even, what's his name, Rod Rosenstein and Dana Puente, who are 2 current Trump administration officials, Obama holdovers, they should have known. And, of course, Mueller knew. He benefited from the warrants as well. One was signed during his tenure. So it's not just Strzok who's responsible. It's the others who signed on to this crap that was otherwise known as the FISA warrants.
So how do you get to them, since they're the ones in charge of the investigation? So we're looking for them to investigate themselves?
Well, you raise a good question, a good point, Mary, and that's why the investigation should be shut down. A separate investigation should be launched into the illicit targeting of President Trump and highlight it with a focus on all these abuses I'm talking about. Now, supposedly the IG's looking at it, but who knows when the IG's going to issue this report. In the meantime, this Mueller train keeps on rolling along.
And there's that U.S. attorney in Utah, right, John Huber, who's supposedly assisting with the Inspector General on that, but we haven't heard anything about that for some time.
Well, he's supposed to be doing criminal investigations, or no, recommending whether to do criminal investigations. So I think that's kind of more of a
distraction.
Window dressing.
Yeah, okay. You know, Peter Strzok fired. His attorney had released a statement, but he was also on MSNBC yesterday. I'll play a little bit.
Oh, he was on MSNBC. Amazing.
What a shock. Play a little bit of it for you this morning.
I don't think that you can rationally reach any conclusion other than it was political. It's difficult to believe, given the steady drumbeat of texts demonizing Pete from the president and all the calls on Capitol Hill by Republicans for Pete to be fired, that didn't play a role in the Bureau's ultimate decision.
Text messages displaying animus and political motivations. That's what Peter Strzok is blaming for his current predicament.
Look, he was fired for misconduct. anyone who had written text messages like that while handling sensitive national security investigations, they should have been walked out the door many, many months ago as soon as it was discovered. And he's lucky. It's only because he's a federal employee, a senior-level FBI agent, that they bent over backwards. Look, the initial review was to let him keep his job and just suspend him or for 60 days. Ridiculous. He should have been fired.
Yeah, there's some thick irony in the lawyer's defense here, being that it was too politically charged. That's the reason he got canned. More on this in a moment. We'll have more with Tom Fitton right here in studio as the president tweets about this man this week.
Oh, Peter Strzok didn't need any help at all demonizing